T, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Pure, good to see you. So how you doing? How you been? Evening, good evening, Miles and CMF. Tor, good to see you. So how you doing? How you been? Paul, good to see you. So how you doing? How you been? Pierce, evening, Miles and CMF. Good to see you. So how you doing? How you been? What's up, Miles? What's up, CMF? What's the interesting news? Yeah, there's quite a bit of interesting news to go through on tonight's live. It should also explain why the market is all over the place. Because there are good news and there are some interesting news on the long side of it, which is what's making the market react in basically all over the place. The easiest way to put it. Which we're going to go through on tonight's live. Hi, Miles, CMF. Shelly, good to see you. Sam Shelley, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Jason, good to see you. How you doing? Evening, Miles and CMF, good to see you. How you doing? Good evening, Miles and CMF. Free and Forever, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Pablo, hi, Miles, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? If it's not XRP, I don't want to. Kerry, let's go. How you doing? How you been? Hi, Miles and CMF. Dennis, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Hi, Miles. Hope your weekend was great. Good to see you again. Artistic, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? It was good. It was a very good weekend. It was work-wise and also a little bit resting. But it was good. How's your weekend, Artistic? Miles, is XRP going parabolic? Some influencers saying so. Yes, XRP is going to do incredibly well. My point of view is all this year. I've been saying for the longest time. Brother, hi, brother. Come on, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Good evening, Miles and everyone. Denise, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Good evening, Miles on CMF. JP, good to see you, brother. How you doing? How you been? So, let's go through a breakdown of what we're going to be talking about tonight's episode of the CMF Live. By the way, this is episode 240 of the CMF Live, which is incredible that we're on episode 240 right now. But these are the topics we're going to be discussing on tonight's live. So here it is. The first news we are going to be covering essentially on tonight's live is the impact that January 20th is going to be having inside the market space, and January 20th and onwards, essentially. Then we're going to be talking about tonight's live regarding the matters of the US judge demanding the SEC to explain itself. The SEC is under fire right now because of what Gary Gensler has been doing in the last 4 years, where a judge has came out and said, why hasn't Gary Gensler essentially created any rules and regulations? What is the reason, Mr. Gary Gensler? Which is what the judge is really pretty much expecting some sort of an answer from him now. Then we're going to be talking about essentially a pro-crypto essentially leader, Armin Simon, who's joining the Senate Banking Committee, which is incredible. We get a lot more pro-crypto essentially politicians taking higher profile seats. So the crypto space is really adjusting into the world of politics, which is nice to see. Then we're going to be talking about essentially also the US banking. In terms of the FDIC, now the FDIC was the department that was essentially stifling banks from working with crypto companies. However, the person that's going to be replacing the FDIC chairman, he's very pro-crypto and also a pro-Republican, which works out in our favor if you're inside the crypto space. Then we're going to be talking about essentially Senator Elizabeth Warren, once again, giving her opinion. Not that anybody really cares about Elizabeth Warren, but unfortunately her voice does have some sort of a support. Then we're also going to be talking about tonight's live regarding the matters of MicroStrategy. Once again, as the markets dip slightly, MicroStrategy is lining up with their basket to essentially purchase more Bitcoins. We're also going to be talking about another company following MicroStrategy's footsteps, Similar Scientific, who's also buying Bitcoin as the market dumps slightly. Then we're going to be talking about JP Morgan's new perspective. The CEO of JP Morgan has came out and said that once again, he's skepticism, towards Bitcoin, if it even has any sort of value. What's the point of Bitcoin? So JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon is once again going down that route. We're also going to be covering the UK on tonight's live. The UK's MP has decided to launch a massive AI campaign. We went from the UK wants to become a capital crypto hub to now the UK wants to become a capital hub for AI technology. I have doubts, I'll be honest, because we didn't achieve the first one. Who knows if we're going to achieve the second one? Then we're going to be talking about essentially Justin Sun on tonight's live as well, giving his perspectives on the market space and essentially moving forward. We're also going to be talking about tonight's live regarding Tether moving their essentially headquarters into El Salvador. Then we're going to be talking about essentially BlackRock launching a new Bitcoin ETF in Canada's market space. Then essentially Binance's situation, the appeal situation that's going on. It seems like Binance is not out of the waters yet, and that Binance could be resued or another case could be opened up essentially within them. Then we're also going to be talking about the NYDFS, the same department that gave Ripple the green light for RLUSD, has done a recent speech, and they've came forward and said they're going to be working with Bank of England. So it seems like America and the UK are coming together in terms of working together for blockchain technology, a new crypto program they're starting. The UK and America joining hands. Then we're also going to be talking about JP Morgan's new prediction on a crypto project. A crypto project that some should be very familiar with. Once we get to that news, I'll reveal what it is. Now, those are essentially the news topics we are going to be covering tonight's live, which is, from everything, essentially from AI technology to politicians to Republican pro-crypto candidates taking chairs in high-profile seats, and crypto's getting essentially the regulation and the voice it finally needed inside of all the politics. So mixture of news to go from tonight's live, and the majority of them are actually extremely positive news for the crypto space going into 2025. Now, before we go through any of those news topics, I just want to say to everyone watching right now, welcome to the CMF Live. If you're watching this for the first time ever, this is episode 240 of the CMF Live. The CMF stands for Crypto Miles Family, and my name is Miles. I go by the persona Crypto Miles, and I'm the host of this live Monday to Friday, 11:25 p.m. UK time onwards. And on this live, I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, and regulations. Also, the disclaimer of this live, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. And we also do Q&As on this live as well, which means if you do have any questions, put it down in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So, before we go through the first news, which is regarding January 20th and moving forward, essentially Trump coming into power and what positiveness there is for cryptocurrencies, let's go to the comment section first. And by the way, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone that's liked this live on X, because I've got a lot of notifications. Thanks so much to everyone who's liked this live, who's retweeted this live, and put a comment outside the video on this live as well. It's the best way to boost this family, this CMF family on X. To like, retweet, and put a comment outside the video. Even if it's a thumbs up emoji, put a comment. Also, thanks so much to everyone on YouTube who's watching right now, who's also put a like and a comment down outside the video as well. Now, before we go for the first news, which is regarding January 20th and what's going to be happening moving forward, it's all positive. Let's go inside the comment section first, and then we go straight into the first news. So let's see where we were at. We were at here. Will XRP... No, actually, we're here. Yeah, we're here. Good evening, Miles and all CMF. JP, good to see you. How you doing, brother? How you been? Cali, good to see you. How you doing? Evening. Orphan, good evening, Miles and CMF. Good to see you. How you doing? Will XRP has pump on January 15th after case? Will XRP have a pump after January 15th? Well, the excitement is definitely going to be there for Trump presidency, essentially building up to it. But January 15th, the chances of, essentially the SEC or Gary Gensler slowing down, it's not going to be happening. And knowing Gary Gensler is going to fight for no reason for the last breath he takes as the SEC chairman, I personally don't see that man stepping down from that case unless he's removed January 20th and then someone else takes his position as the chairman of the SEC and essentially stops that case from happening any further. Do you feel manipulation will be less common come January 20th after Trump is in, Miles? Great question, Pierce. Do I think manipulation is going to be less common when Trump takes his seat after January 20th? No. Manipulation is always going to be there. It doesn't matter if Trump's in power, if Trump isn't in power. What you've got to realize as well that many things, but one of them is that whenever Trump's in power, like the last time Trump was in power, Trump was trying to achieve great things for America and the rest of the world the last time he was president. But then they obviously, tanked it on his presidencies by causing so many issues, and then the whole COVID situation as well. Some people could say, well, that was random. But what's interesting is that, essentially Trump coming into power once again. He's becoming the president of the United States, January 20th, and so on. And we're about to get another lockdown situation. So why is it every time we have a Trump presidency, a lockdown randomly happens? Look, what I'm trying to say is manipulation is always going to be there, especially from people who try to play God, because they have too much money in this world. So manipulation is always going to be there, no matter what. Doesn't matter who's running the country. Doesn't matter which prime minister or which president or which king we have. manipulation will always be there. Good evening, Miles. One question. I have never heard a prediction in your opinion. How many percentage do you think XRP can do 2025? Percentage-wise, that's an interesting one. Look, what I would say is XRP is going to do, in my opinion, this year, next year, and then the year after that, and beyond. XRP is going to be showing the most amount of profit you will ever see in your entire lifetime. Some people might essentially say, well, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. Some people might say I'm crazy. Some people might say whatever they want. But I've never been wrong. And it's not just because I'm being cocky in any sort of a way. Very proud of the wisdom God's given me. But look, what I would say is XRP is going to show, I'm not going to tell you price-wise or percentage-wise, but what I will say to you is that XRP this year especially, next year, and any other year beyond that, it's going to do extremely well. If you're holding XRP in your portfolio, it's going to be the one that brings you the numbers in compared to the rest of the entire portfolio. How has your day been, Miles? And CMF, Lena, it's been great. How's your day been? Good evening, brother Miles, and the rest of the CMF family. Good to see you, so funky brother. How you doing? How you been, bro? I've been doing great, funky brother. Miles, will you say 10,000 XRP is enough? If you have 10,000 XRP in your portfolio, that's a great amount to have. Good evening, Richard. Good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Hello, Miles and CMF. I love and respect my family. Let's go, Scott. How you doing, brother? Evening, Miles and CMF. Peeps Semper. Good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Jamie Dimon is pure and utter idiot. The funky brother said. He's a very, wealthy idiot, to be very honest. Hi, Miles and CMF. Stormy, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Miles, congrats on 240 episodes. I'm an OG, and I've been around before this. Excited for you. Let's go, Scott. Thank you so much, brother. Is USDT moving to El Salvador is a sign of desperation? Yes. We're going to talk about it on tonight's live regarding Tether moving to El Salvador. Their entire headquarters is going to be in El Salvador, which is an interesting play from essentially Tether. And I'll explain why once we get to that news. JP Morgan say Bitcoin used by sex. Okay, I can't say that. I mean, employees, you got to change your words up. Happy Pisces, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Miles, congratulations to your episode. And CMF, I appreciate the yes, Scott. Thanks so much for the kind words again. Funky brother, let's go. And then you get the weird one inside the comment section. I've just retweeted on YouTube and X. Thank you so much, Funky brother, for that. Thank you. And when XRP does what it will do and we'll all meet, I am buying the first round of champagne. I will let Miles provide the caviar. Let's go, Scott. I watched a video earlier that 21st of January, they're going to come out with the news of COVID 2.0 and force you to wear a mask and vaccine. Well, that's going to be an interesting play. Share the live. Let's go, Scott. Even Miles and CMF. Joe, good to see you. How you doing? So, first news on tonight's live. Hi, Miles. What's the reason for Link dropping lower on your portfolio? No reason about it. It's just I hold more of the other assets. I'm more towards the financial projects, and Link is not a project I'm going to be holding forever. It's more of a project I'm probably going to shift over once that price starts climbing on Link. But no reason. It's not just it's not that it's a bad project in any sort of a way. It's a great project that has a very promising future ahead of itself. But I also see more promising future on the projects above it. But those are the projects above it I'm selling to, except the first 5. Hi Miles, hope you're well. Yeah, man, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Hi, I saw his interview on Bloomberg, and I think Jamie Dimon is deluded. Fair enough. Now, the impact of January 20th on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency markets. Now, obviously, Trump coming into power January 20th is the biggest positive thing we could have possibly asked for inside the crypto space. Not only that, but it turns out Trump, day one, Trump is going to bring some positiveness for the crypto space. Now, he does have, within the first 100 days to plan out everything he wants to do. But day one, he's going to bring some positiveness for the crypto space on January 20th, which is incredible to see. So President Donald Trump is set to take swift action on cryptocurrencies and regulations when he returns to the White House, according to the Washington Post. What's interesting about the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal? They've both been against the crypto space, and all of a sudden now they're pro-crypto. A Washington Post, essentially politics reporter, has revealed that Trump plans to issue a crypto-related executive order on day one in office, signaling essentially a dramatic shift in regulatory priorities. The move comes as a broader, essentially, effort to reshape the regulatory landscape with significant contributions from leading venture capitalists, VCs, and technology leaders. Marco Andersons, a prominent figure essentially in venture capital community, has reportedly deeply been involved in the hiring and interviewing of candidates for key roles, essentially in administration, including positions at the Department of Defense and intelligence agencies. The collaboration reflects what insiders call a small tech agenda that aims to spur innovation by reducing restrictive regulations, early essentially victories on that agenda, including the appointment of artificial intelligence and crypto chief David Sachs, who has been working with the industry leaders on legislative strategies. Sachs also pledged to repeal his controversial AI executive order in 2023, a move essentially applauded by Anderson Howards and other essentially influential VC firms in the US. The repeal is expected to be a part of a broader effort to align with federal policies with industry essentially interest, particularly in areas of AI and cryptocurrencies. A key issue essentially expected to be addressed in day one of the executive order will be debanking of the cryptocurrency essentially companies. The orders could also repeal a controversial accounting policy that requires banks holding digital assets to classify them as liabilities on their balance sheets. The Trump team has made it very clear that this is a priority, said a source familiar with the talks. The upcoming swearing essentially in the ceremony is expected to draw significant essentially attention from the tech and crypto communities. And another prominent VC, Peter, essentially is planning a celebratory event while a crypto ball is planned for the later in the week. Day one, Trump is going to be coming out essentially the moment he takes his seat, January 20th, he takes his seat in office. Day one, he's going to be coming out essentially letting banks in the US work with crypto companies, something that the FDIC didn't let happen. The FDIC tried its best. The chairman of the FDIC tried his best to stifle essentially banks from working with crypto companies. And even they essentially created an SAB 121 Act, which I've talked about for a while now. The SAB 121 Act essentially is when cryptocurrencies have to be held as liabilities on balance sheets for US banks, which no bank wanted to do in any sort of a way, which has now been slowly going to be removed and it's going to be repelled in any sort of a way. But day one, Trump is going to let essentially banks and crypto companies come together and work, which is incredible. He's the only politician that says what he's going to do and does it. It's refreshing when it comes to politics. Now, on that essentially positive note, essentially Trump coming in, day one, he's going to be doing this. There's more positive notes. One of them, for example, being Gary Gensler. And Gary Gensler is being accused of stifling cryptocurrencies by a judge. Now, one of the cases that the SEC has been going in and out of is the Coinbase case. And Coinbase isn't slowing down in any sort of a way. I mean, Coinbase lawyers are on this case like a hawk. And it's got to a stage, essentially, where a judge has came out and said to the SEC, why didn't you create any regulations? When Coinbase basically said to you, why don't you create any regulations? Here it is. US judge demands SEC to explain itself for rebuffering requests for crypto rules. In another 11th hour court loss for the chairman Gary Gensler's tenure, judges in the Coinbase case again called the SEC's crypto position arbitrary. The US Securities and Exchange Commission must now thoroughly explain itself for refusing to grant Coinbase's formal request that the agency write regulations for how the industry should assess whether crypto assets are securities or not, according to essentially a circuit court ruling today, which is amazing to see. Gary Gensler being held accountable for all of his actions inside the crypto space. What everybody wanted from Gary Gensler as the SEC chairman wasn't difficult. It wasn't, them asking him to go over the moon and beyond for them. All they were asking for is Gary Gensler to do his job and create some regulations. But Gary Gensler refused to do his job and create regulations and instead decided to sue every crypto company around it, which is now starting to backfire. Gary Gensler thinks that just by him quitting and resigning last minute on January 20th before Trump takes his seat is all that, and he can just walk away into the sunset and there will be no consequences. Well, judges are now asking Gary Gensler, why? Why did you do this? Why did you not create regulations? Why did you reject the idea of regulations when Coinbase asked you? We need a brief explanation. A 3-judge panel from the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit, in a legal essential rebuke of the securities regulator, partially sided with Coinbase's efforts to get the agency to offer essentially legal clarity by writing crypto regulations. Rather than force the agency to make a rule, we order it to explain its decisions. One of the judges wrote, "Indeed, a rule may not prove necessary to solve the notice problems here. The agency could just state its position on crypto assets, and then we know." Judge essentially Stephens Bibes added a caution to the SEC. It should not give yet another poor explanation in an already long line of them. Apparently, they're tired of Gary Gensler giving useless explanations when he's asked a question and trying to divert the question to something else. The legal blow for the agency, the second setback in the Coinbase-related case in less than a week, could essentially leave an opening for its new leadership. Chairman Gary Gensler, the architect of the SEC's crypto enforcement essentially heavy approach in recent years, is stepping down as President-elect Donald Trump takes his seat, obviously, and on January 20th. And the former commissioner, obviously, Paul Atkins, could have a chance to use this court demand to essentially answer that. Yes, his agency will change its course on crypto oversights, or even sooner, as the acting chairman, essentially, such as sitting commissioner. Mark, also one of the agency's 2 current Republican members, could be in a position to get the ball rolling, while Atkins awaits a Senate confirmation process. The Monday ruling that happened today essentially called the SEC's crypto actions arbitrary, echoing language from DC Circuit Courts of Appeals when it was rejected the agency's opposition to Grayscale's application for essentially a Bitcoin ETF. Because we believe the SEC's order was essentially insufficient and thus arbitrary, we grant Coinbase petition in part and recommend that the SEC for a complete explanation. The judge ruled in this case, however, the circuit court didn't believe Coinbase's arguments justified a clear need to demand new rules from the regulator. We're reviewing the decisions and we will determine next steps as appropriate, a spokesperson for the SEC said in response to a request for a comment. We appreciate the court's careful consideration, said Coinbase Chief Legal Officer Paul in a posting on social media site X. His company pursuits of his petitions with the SEC is one of the number one court battles that the SEC has been going back and forward with. And I'll be honest, right now, of all the court battles that's going on, obviously the biggest one being Ripple versus SEC. But it's nice to see Coinbase essentially making Gary Gensler be accountable for everything he's done to the crypto space. Because it's, well, the biggest case was Ripple, but again, honestly, I like that Coinbase is not giving up. And Gary Gensler might get some sort of a fine or even a prison sentence if they catch him on fraud. Now, moving on essentially from Gary Gensler being looked into and explanation is needed, it's also good to see that, to a pro-crypto leader. The pro-crypto leader, Simon, joins the Senate banking. Big changes ahead. So one, essentially, we have Donald Trump coming in. Day one is going to bring some crypto regulations for the banking world and crypto to work together. We also have essentially Gary Gensler being looked into and investigated. And on top of that, we also have a Simon joining the banking committee and big changes ahead. Simon has been named chief counsel to the Senate's essentially community on banking, housing, and urban affairs, according to his LinkedIn essentially announcement. This appointment essentially is expected to drive innovation, friendly crypto regulations, while ensuring robust investor protections. Simon brings extensive essentially experience from his peers at the SEC. He focused on essentially reconciling crypto growth with robust regulatory frameworks. His background includes roles such as essentially chief of staff and senior counsel essentially at the Department of Housing and Urban Developments under Trump's administration and banking counsel for Senator essentially Ben. His executive experience of financial regulations uniquely essentially positions him to guide the crypto-related essential legislatives and essentially developments alongside it. And armed with JD from Columbia Law School, a BA from essentially Wheaton College, and essentially FPE fellowship, Simon blends academic essentially rigorousness with practical insights, equipping him to tackle emerging economic challenges. With the Senate Banking Committee essentially actively working on integrating digital assets into their traditional financial systems, Simon's role is expected to be instrumental. His appointee is a key to the committee works on the new rules for crypto sector. The crypto community is optimistic, seeing his role as a chance for clear and much more progressive digital asset regulations. Many stakeholders hope he will create a guideline that will promote innovation inside of America and help consumers and investors. Fox Business reporter also Eleanor Terrett recently shared that the Senate Banking Committee, under the leadership of Senator Tim Scott, is gearing up to form a new subcommittee dedicated to cryptocurrency issues. This move is a part of a broader effort to mirror the House of Crypto subcommittees that was set up essentially in 2023 and is expected to play a much more pivotal role under the current administration coming in. Following Donald Trump's essential re-election, also the positivity that's actually bringing to the table for people like Simon to be coming in, essentially changing the banking world for it. And Simon is actually stepping into his role as a chief counsel. Many inside the crypto industry are watching closely. His impressive background, combining with deep legal knowledge and the experience that he has in essentially government and financial regulations, makes him uniquely qualified essentially to impact cryptocurrency legislations. And Simon's past reflects a strong commitment to promoting open discussions and crafting well essentially considered policies, setting the stage for many to believe will be a transformative era in digital finance. And there's a lot more to go on inside the banking world right now. There's a lot of things happening inside the banking world. Just by, as we're getting closer to a Trump presidency, we're starting to see that positiveness already inside the banking world, inside the financial world, inside of Wall Street, even in terms of politicians. Trump still hasn't taken his seat yet, but already the banking world is warming up to the idea. The Senate Banking Committee is warming up to the idea of cryptocurrencies and bringing in innovation. Already, essentially, Trump is going to, day one, bring in a crypto executive, some sort of a regulation for the crypto space day one. And Gary Gensler is being investigated. And we have the FDIC, who was the original causer of a situation where banks couldn't work with crypto companies because the FDIC was telling them not to. Well, because the FDIC chairman is also leaving, the new FDIC chairman is pro-crypto. All of a sudden, everybody who was anti-crypto, who was against cryptocurrencies, who said cryptocurrencies are only used for illicit activities, every politician that hated crypto, every essentially chairman that hated crypto, every executive board member that hated crypto, are all turning either pro-crypto before Trump comes in, or they're resigning so a pro-crypto person can take their seat. The tables have definitely flipped. Now, before we go for the next news, which is regarding the FDIC, let's go to the comment section first. Let's see what's happening inside the comment section. Then we go straight into the FDIC news, which is also pro for the crypto space. Let's see where we're at. By the way, as I said previously, this is a live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So let's see what's happening inside the comment section. Hi, Brother Miles and CMF. I'm back from training camp. How are you, bro? I'm doing great, Bill. Good to see you. How you doing, brother? Hi, Miles and CMF. George, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Bro, many people talk about 15th January bullish and 20 also. What do you think about it, and will that be the price? Will XRP rise to 20 January? Okay. The reason why people might be, the reason why people might be talking about 15th of January, 15th of January is when the SEC comes out with another filing regarding Ripple SEC case. January 20th is obviously Trump taking his seat. That's extremely bullish because, the excitement should build up from January 15th or January 16th. The excitement should start building up for essentially a Trump presidency or Trump takeover, is what I would say. But that's why they're bullish, because January 20th is Trump taking his seat, and January 15th, it's not really bullish, but it's more like, the SEC and Ripple battle continuing on. Unless Gary Gensler has a change of pace. Will XRP rise to 20 in January? Because of variable change for the time being. Miles, will you see Hulu Hot is a hidden gem? Hot is definitely a hidden gem. How many Hulu Hot chains do you think is enough to hold as much, whatever you want to go for, it's your budget? Miles, is they want us to believe that January 20th will be bullish, but the market moves always the opposite. So no move is realistic. What do you think? Okay, January 20th is going to be bullish, no doubt about it. Now, that isn't that you shouldn't consider the fact of manipulation in any sort of a way, because Also, January 20th, Trump is going to apparently, this hasn't came from Trump, but it has came from essentially a few sources that are letting this information out inside of news channels, where Trump is going to be coming out with some sort of a crypto policy regulation on day one. If Trump does that, that's going to bring more positivity, more bullishness day one, January 20th to the table. So we would have to see how things are going to be playing out to get a better picture. But January 20th, for the time being, is bullish. And I do get what you mean. Buy the rumors, sell the news. That's what pretty much always happens. Most of the times it happens, buy the rumors, sell the news. However, if January 20th plays out the way it's supposed to, where Trump comes out and goes, I'm going to be doing this day one for the crypto space, that could, divert from the whole scenario of buy the rumors, sell the news. The market just go a little bit more up. Not straight away to the moon, but a little bit more up instead of dropping back down again. But if he doesn't say anything positive about cryptocurrencies and just takes his, puts on the Bible and gets called into the office, then that will obviously have a little bit downhill in the market space. But in general, 2025 is going to be upside. So we're pretty much good. This is how US politics works. They force someone like Gary Gensler to manipulate the market, and at the end, when the person is leaving the job, they get sued and jailed. Pretty much. Good way to put it. If I was Gary Gensler and I was really being put up to the test of, essentially stifling the entire industry, and then at the end, the people that hired me to stifle the entire industry tried to throw me under the bus, I'm singing like a bird. There's no way I'm going to be doing that and then do that straight after. Miles, I think folks are sleeping on XLM, particularly everything I read of how much research and mentions XLM in the same category of XRP. XLM is an incredible project, no doubt about it. XLM is an incredible project, no doubt about it. Now, I wouldn't say it's better than XRP. But you're saying you put them in the same category. I would definitely put them in the same category, yes. But yeah, XLM is an incredible project. I don't expect XRP to go to 2 to 3 digits this year, I think. I believe in a crash black swan type of situation that is the most essentially logical outcome, problem, reaction, solution, which is what mostly plays out all the time. They would, the governments will. The easiest way to take control of anything, essentially, is to create a problem, then introduce the solution, which is pretty much what's been going on since the dawn of time. They would create a problem, then introduce a solution. In other words, they would spread a COVID, essentially, pandemic, and then introduce the solution. Do you see where I'm going with this? Create something to cause damage and then introduce a solution. The same people who essentially spread COVID are the exact same people essentially that are pumping out the vaccines. And we're the morons that were taking them. But that's basically what essentially Bill is talking about regarding problem, reaction, solution. Bill is expecting some sort of a crash or black swan type of event situation. But what I can tell you is that they are talking about a COVID 2.0. Ironically, once again, on a Trump presidency. They're creating a COVID 2.0 the moment Trump is going to, become president of the United States and try to fix this world. They're thinking about introducing a new type of COVID where they want everybody to be trapped back inside again so you don't catch a disease that doesn't exist. But let's see if anybody's going to fall for it, to be fairly honest. I could already picture that a lot of people is going to start wearing masks once again, even though we've been through it already. But a lot of people are still going to believe it. And Miles, are you still positive on ACH and HBAR? I am very positive, essentially, on ACH and HBAR. More on HBAR than I am on ACH, but positive in general. Hi from Malaysia, Shakira. Good to see you. How you doing? How you been? They will not let XRP rise from here. Too much people right now, and they need a big crash to implement in the world. I see where you're going with this. You're saying on the basis of there's too many people essentially holding XRP. So, too many people from the retail section holding XRP. So it doesn't make any sense for essentially XRP to go flying off into high prices. Wrong. Look, what I would say to that, Bill, is that there's a lot of people that have that perception in their minds that there is too many people from the retail section holding XRP. So that means that XRP can't go high because if it goes higher in price, too many people will become millionaires, which makes no sense inside the retail section. Wrong. Okay. If you take out the equation of XRP and replace it with Bitcoin, A lot of people inside the retail section held Bitcoin, and Bitcoin went flying up. Then you could argue the point of 21 supply. A lot of people were holding Ethereum inside the retail section. Ethereum started climbing up, and a lot of people became millionaires inside the retail section. A lot of people were holding essentially Solana in the retail section, and they became millionaires overnight. A lot of people essentially from AVAX that were holding essentially AVAX tokens from the retail section, they became millionaires overnight. A lot of people were holding TON token when it was first released from the retail section. They became millionaires essentially overnight as well as the price climbed. So what I find is so baffling is when it comes to the crypto space, everybody knowing that, but they put it to the side. Retail section became wealthy from Bitcoin. Retail section became wealthy from Ethereum. Retail section became wealthy from Solana. Retail section became essentially wealthy from TON, from AVAX, from NEAR. Name it, the tokens on the list. But when it comes to XRP, for some reason, retail section cannot become wealthy on XRP until they empty XRP and put more corporates inside of it. Wrong. Retail section can also become wealthy from XRP if they play their cards right. So, Bilal, don't believe in the perception idea that they won't make XRP go high in price because too many retail people are holding. Too many retail people were holding Bitcoin before the corporations even came about. Too many people were holding essentially Ethereum. Too many retail people were holding Solana. Too many retail people were holding TON. Too many retail people were holding AVAX. And the list just goes on. So don't believe in the ideology that, they need to move you from essentially XRP to make XRP shoot up in price. I'll tell you one thing. Corporations do cause manipulation. No doubt about it. Politicians cause manipulation. Jerome Powell causes manipulation. A lot of things can cause manipulation inside the market space. And corporations always have a hand in that scenario as well. No doubt about it. But corporations don't need to push the retail section out. You know why? Because the retail section will do that for themselves. The retail section will jump out of XRP when they see XRP sitting at $5. Not even joking. The moment XRP touches $5, the retail section will jump out. The majority of the retail section. When XRP touches $10, there'll be nobody left on the retail section. It will just be a handful, a majority of corporations and a handful of retail sections holding at $10. The corporations don't need to push the retail section out by tanking the price. Because if they tank the price, then essentially everybody buys back in. But if they increase the price a little bit, the retail section jumps out. So if they dump the market, what happens then? The retail section will also buy. But if they increase the market price, what happens then? The retail section will just jump out. So don't believe in the perception idea that essentially, too many retail people are holding XRP, so therefore XRP can't go up in price. Too many retail people are holding Bitcoin, also Solana, also Cardano, also AVAX, also TON, also NEAR, also FILE, also BNB. Too many retail people were holding all those essential tokens, but they also went up in price. Tanking is not essentially a scenario for that movement. They can do a tanking situation if they wanted to, but there's also the other side. Price goes up, retail will just jump out naturally. So keep down the consideration as well. Now, a black swan type of event or a pandemic type of situation also makes sense in some scenarios as well. Because what's the best way to implement a CBDC in any jurisdiction? The best way to implement a CBDC in any sort of jurisdiction is to cause a pandemic situation. Because if they have everybody sitting at home and nobody can leave their homes because of a pandemic, of a major crisis pandemic, if nobody can leave their homes, then it's the best way to introduce a CBDC. You know why? Because nobody can protest. If you want to implement a CBDC, introduce a pandemic. You get everybody trapped at home. Nobody leaves their home because nobody's not allowed to, because they'll cause some sort of an unknown disease. So everybody's trapped at home, and the government decides to introduce a CBDC. And nobody can protest about it. Nobody can do anything about it because you're trapped at home. You don't want to catch an unknown disease or deathly disease. So a CBDC, essentially, the best way to introduce that CBDC is all to, cause some sort of pandemic situation. Pandemic number one made the world go digital. Banks were closing down during COVID. Cash points were closing down during COVID. Pandemic number two could be essentially implementation of CBDCs, which makes sense because 2025, a lot of CBDCs are about to launch. But yeah, Miles, why does XRP prediction on Google? Also, there's that issue with the banking situation as well. So the biggest threat to the banking world is if they introduce the idea of CBDCs. The Bank of International Settlements previous chairman came out essentially and said something on the lines of, if we do introduce a CBDC, the biggest issue is that people will run to the banks and try to take their cash out, which will cause a banking crisis. So they said essentially that we should freeze everybody's bank accounts, is what was mentioned in the Bank of International Settlements. Obviously, that man is not in power anymore, but they said we should freeze everybody's bank accounts. So when we do introduce a CBDC, nobody can run to the bank and take out cash, which will cause a banking crisis. Which afterwards, the Bank of International Settlements made another speech, and the second speech was that the first person didn't know what he's talking about. Don't listen to him. I'm not an official advisor. Miles, why does an XRP prediction on Google search never seem to be as optimistic as you are? How can there be such a difference? I just know where to look. That's what that is. I'm not a financial advisor. I do not have any type of financial licensings. I am a dollar cost averager into XDC daily. I'm patient enough to wait and essentially for the handful, for the huge windfall. Let's go, Scott. Hi, Miles, the CMF. Golden Dragon, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Training camp is dangerous. Bilal, please stop talking about black swan events. I want to feel good and experience a good bull one. What spiked the... someone sent me an email with a PDF attached. They told me that they knew my very well and I should take it seriously because the person was not playing games. They quoted one of my phone numbers. Lena, don't respond to that email. So Lena, if somebody has sent you a random email with a PDF file on it, don't open it and delete the email. In fact, just leave the email alone. It's a scammer trying to get in contact with you, making up bogus claims. Leave the email alone, Lena. Don't even respond to it. Don't open it. Don't respond to it. Just leave it alone. Miles, tell me something for Hula Hot. Well, they do big things inside of Web3 space. They're signing contracts and trying to get some licenses in order. I was just thinking about logical and essentially in mind of that people. History repeat itself and the dot-com bubble situation. It is true. History will always repeat itself. Read about the dot-com bubble. Fun. Yep, definitely. Logical thinking is from the fact of my opinions. I listen to videos and often they talk about the value of XRP. I'm looking at the price of XRP currently. There's a difference in that conversation. The actual value is greater than $2.53. True. Let's go, Scott. XRP is the future coin and has a partner. Yes, it does. The person said that he's been keeping tabs on pathetic existence for a while. It's a long email, and at the end, they asked me to send Bitcoin. Mouse, leave them alone, Lena. Mouse, I may have missed it, but does Gary Gensler have another job slash position lined up? No, as far as I'm aware, Gary Gensler does not have a job lined up. He was supposed to be Treasury. He was going for the job role as Treasury, but I don't think that's going to be happening anymore because there's no way in hell Trump is going to let that happen. Good, to be fairly honest. Hopefully it's not in any finance. Miles, what you think about XDC and is there future? Can I have a big market position and then price go? XDC is an incredible project as well, also part of our free quarter, XDC. Don't get surprised by if a black swan comes and XRP goes back to 40 cents. Just saying, I won't get surprised, I'll be honest, in any sort of a way. Look, a long time ago, a while ago, we predicted essentially a few things that can happen. We said, a pandemic situation would make sense, introduce a problem, and then, bring up the solution. We also talked about the offline situation as well as one of the other outcomes where, cutting the internet pipes, which are essentially in the Hormuz Sea, essentially, where the internet cable for the West is over there, which Iran has threatened before that they might cut the internet cables or the data cables for the West, which runs through that sea. So, we've had the talks of the, outcome of a black swan type of event or an outcome of a pandemic situation. And then the outcome of essentially just regulations and policies and so on moving forward. But, those are things to consider, definitely. In Belgium, they started wearing masks already. In Belgium, they're wearing masks already. Well, you know, it's like we're all guinea pigs. From February, you cannot travel to Saudi Arabia unless you have taken a new jab. Well, it looks like I'm never going to be traveling to Saudi Arabia because there's no way in hell I'm going to get a vaccine. It's not a reason. It's not the reason of too many people holding it. It's more that they want a problem to implement a solution, which is XRP. I get that, but if they go up, they could put, you have a big forehead. Thank you for pointing out something that's visible. You must have really thought about that sentence. Yeah, I get what you're saying below. If Gary Gensler wants to be a winner, he will drop the appeal and get the check. This will happen anyway, so he can list and say he won and resigns. Yes, that's true as well. Gary Gensler, if he does want to play the good guy, he can resign on a positive note. True. When XRP touches £100, then 99% of the retail will be gone. When XRP touches £100, 99% of the retail population will be gone. Now, look, not saying XRP won't touch 100. That will definitely happen in my point of view. But you, Funky Brother, you have incredible optimism for the retail section. £100. I genuinely hope that the majority of the retail section, or in this case, 99% of the retail section, hold on to £100, per XRP. I genuinely hope that is the case. In reality, it will be more like $10, and 99% of the retail section is out of XRP. But I genuinely hope, at £100, 99% are still inside from the retail section on XRP. Do you think they will do a black swan pandemic form like COVID? How will people react? They won't believe it. You'll be surprised. Essentially a COVID pandemic 2.0 apparently in the works. Will people believe it? Yes, unfortunately they will. There's a reason why we have a quote that essentially states history will always repeat itself. The only reason that isn't even essentially a quote is because it does. History will always repeat itself because the people, the human population, the human race, as intelligent as we may be, in some forms we're really not that intelligent. Well, the majority isn't. And I'm not being rude in any sort of a way. But if we're falling for the same tricks back to back, and we have a quote that states history will always repeat itself, there's a reason for that. So do I think, how will people react? Will they believe a COVID 2.0? Yes. Unfortunately, people will believe a COVID 3.0, a COVID 4.0, a COVID 5.0. Even at one point, we'll get to a COVID 10, and still people will believe it and line up for a vaccine. Miles, this time round, they will just cut off the internet as CBDCs work offline, which is true. They could do as an outcome. Greetings, Miles and family. Hope is all well. Ray, good to see you, brother. How you doing? How you been? They might not try to keep us all indoors. They might. You never know. Miles, do you think I should sell some of my ACH to buy more XRP in your opinion? Yes. I mean, obviously not financial advice in any sort of a way. XRP is better than ACH by a mile. Not financial advice in any sort of a way. Miles, I think the last bull run was in the fire of the last COVID-19 pandemic. It was. That's true. Good morning, Miles of CMF. Ghost Brother, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? How many trillions do you think there will be on the ledger in 2025? Don't know. I'll be honest. They can also happen all pandemic, cyber attack, and crash. They can also all happen at the same time. That's true. The only crypto wasn't affected in this deep was XRP. Even Black Swan won't be able to dump XRP. Let's go. How did you read that comments? I already blocked him, but he still read this comment. Strange. Yep, it is. And thank you for blocking it. Miles, will the institutions push out most of the retailers? Yes, but not in the way you would think. Good day, Miles. Sorry I'm late. Just arrived in the Caribbean. Mike, let's go in the Caribbean. Enjoy your vacation, brother. How will people believe another pandemic like COVID? Absolute sheeps. Yes, pretty much. Hit the like button. Double tap for the crypto guru. I am the rebel. Thank you so much for that comment. Do you think XRP, good to see you as well, Do you think XRP will reach $5 soon? Do I think XRP will reach $5 soon? 3 green lights are needed. First green light essentially is the case for Ripple versus SEC to be dismissed or settled. The second green light XRP needs is regulations. Due to Ripple's clientele only being banks and institutions, XRP will need some sort of a green light from regulatory authorities as well. And then third, essentially, will be adoption. So XRP needs 3 green lights. 1, case needs to be a green light, done or settled or dismissed. 2 would essentially be a regulation for crypto assets, and 3 will be adoption. XRP gets 3 green lights. It can pretty much, the sky's the limit. Do you think Ethereum will see 4,000 in 2025? Yes. Do you think the fire in the LA situation is fake and set up? Do I think the fire situation in LA is fake and set up? It's not fake. I mean, I'm guessing what you're saying is, it was a complete setup. Yes. In my point of view, it did seem like a setup. I'll be honest. The LA fire situation. There's a lot of reasonings on that matter of why I may think that. Miles, you have heard of the ZRV16 virus, dude? I haven't. They will say it's for your safety, and they will do whatever they want, pretty much. It's supposed to turn us all into zombies. The ZRV16 virus. I've never heard of that one. Great. That's the last thing we needed, some sort of a zombie virus. I'm Freeport right now. I'm in Freeport, right? Good for you. That's fairly. I'm thinking of dumping my ETH2. You're thinking about dumping your Ethereum as well. That's your choice. It's your money. It's your crypto assets. You can do whatever you want with them. Now, going on this whole positive note inside the crypto space to the FDIC now. The US banking should ease the path for crypto. Republican essentially taking the reins at the FDIC suggests. Now, the previous FDIC chairman, who is resigning, he has been very anti-crypto. He's been against crypto assets from day one. He was a part of the operation of Choke Point 2.0 for crypto assets, and a team with Senator Elizabeth Warren as the leader, and essentially Gary Gensler and so on. And the new FDIC chairman is pro-crypto. The FDIC vice chairman, Travis Hill, is set to become the acting chairman at the start of the next administration. And essentially, he's critical of the FDIC's digital asset stance. This man has been against what the FDIC has done in the banking space to the crypto space. And he also take a different approach. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, Corp, essentially will soon be under new management. And the senior Republican there, Travis Hill, has outlined that some pro-crypto policy thoughts just before he'll take over, at least on a temporary basis, if not as the permanent new chairman. The FDIC Vice Chairman Hill is expected to become among those in the contention for the job of the once essentially President-elect Donald Trump takes his office, is calling for the U.S. banking regulator to issue new guidance for digital assets. He wants to shed the agency's current one-by-one approach to direct banks with cryptocurrencies. It has essentially stifled innovation and contributed to a public perception that the FDIC is closed for business if institutions are interested in anything related to blockchain or distributed ledger technology, said Hill. And then he also went on essentially and said that, which also notes the controversial pause letters dug up by the essentially Freedom of Information Act court battle with Coinbase. He suggested that those letters illustrated how essentially the approach from the FDIC was to supervise crypto in the banking systems. The agency steered many banks away from digital asset businesses. And also, he went on to say, I continue to think a much better approach would have been better, and remains for the agency to clearly and transparently describe for the public what activities are legally essentially permissionable and how to conduct some sort of accordance with safety and soundness and standards, he said. And if the regulatory approvals are needed, those must be acted upon timely ways, which has not been essentially the case in recent years. Hill, also who has a Republican appointee to the board 2 years ago, also criticized the FDIC's role in pursuing banks to shed crypto clients. And a long-standing goal of the FDIC has been to decrease essentially the number of people who are unbanked, he said. Efforts to debank law-abiding customers from unexpected essentially regulators must work to end it. And there is also no place at the FDIC for anyone who has pushed explicitly or essentially implicitly banks to stop serving crypto, essentially law-abiding customers. Current long-term essentially chairman Morton has told the agency employees he'll step down also on January 20th, the day before, January 19th, the day before Trump comes into power. In the absence of the chairman, the vice chairman steps into the role as the new basis. The person that's essentially replacing the FDIC chairman is completely pro-crypto. One by one, as I previously said, essentially one by one, the tables are turning. Everybody that was anti-crypto is now becoming pro-crypto in the world of politics. Everybody in Congress who was anti-crypto is now pro-crypto. Everybody who's a chairman is either leaving or getting fired or getting replaced by a pro-crypto person in general. A lot of things are happening. And this is all because of Trump. Honestly, as I said previously, thank God Trump won, because everything's about to turn positive for the crypto space. But then again, we've also got to consider the fact of manipulation or people who are still, for some reason, against crypto. For example, Senator Elizabeth Warren. So with all the positive news, Trump coming into power January 20th, amazing. Trump apparently going to introduce a banking regulation for cryptocurrencies, day one, amazing on January 20th. The FDIC chairman replacement is pro-crypto, and he wants the banks to work with crypto companies, great. And then we also have essentially the Banking Senate Committee coming out and choosing a pro-crypto person, amazing as well. And now we have Senator Elizabeth Warren, who has always been against the crypto space and still is. Senator Elizabeth Warren is the last person left from the anti-crypto group. The anti-crypto group being Gary Gensler, who's resigning January 20th, the FDIC chairman, who's resigning January 19th, and everybody else who's also anti-crypto. They've all left, and there's only one person left. And, you know, that old saying, and then there was one. Well, that one is still Senator essentially Elizabeth Warren. And with all the positivity that's going on inside the crypto space, all the pro-crypto politicians and chairmen and so on coming into power, Senator Elizabeth Warren decides to genuinely decides to grill the Treasury nominee, Bensett, on his crypto policies. So here it is. Senator Elizabeth Warren brought the heat ahead of the Treasury Secretary nominee, Scott Benson's confirmation hearing scheduled for Thursday. You know what's interesting? Gary Gensler was promised that position. Gary Gensler, the chairman of the SEC, who is now under fire and is also resigning January 20th, was promised the seat for the Treasury Secretary nominee. And, well, that's not going to be happening. The Massachusetts senator essentially sent Senator Elizabeth Warren sent a letter to Benson, a scathing 31-page letter, 31 pages, packed with questions, demanding clarity on his plans for crypto oversight, financial situations, and tax policies. Benson is a hedge fund veteran with no government experience and has drawn sharp criticism for his Wall Street ties. Warren wasted no time outlining her doubts, questioning whether he has the chops to handle the swirling responsibilities of the Treasury Secretary, ranging from managing public debt to overseeing sanctions, tax policies, and combating money laundering. I'll be honest, it's not like the US was doing a great job already with the freak show administration of the Biden space. The way essentially Senator Elizabeth Warren is attacking Benson, she's only attacking him for two reasons. One, he's pro-Trump, and two, he's pro-crypto. So Senator Elizabeth Warren sends him this scathing letter, 31 pages, basically trying to tell Benson that you shouldn't be chosen for this role and somebody else can do a better job. Strange, Senator Elizabeth Warren wasn't saying these things when Biden was running the show for the longest time. And now Biden's coming to an end January 20th. But crypto regulation is sat essentially squarely on the top of Warren's list of concerns. She asked if Benson believed the Treasury Sanctions Division, the Office of Foreign Assets and Controls, should have jurisdiction over other stablecoins. Warren pushed Benson on whether essentially the OFAC should have the tools to shut down crypto firms that pose a risk to U.S. financial systems. She pointed to the lack of strong regulatory frameworks as a major threat. She said, "Do you think the Treasury should step in and address these gaps?" She wrote, pressing Benson on how he'd manage potential abuse of stablecoins for essentially money laundering or sanction evasions. Her skepticism wasn't just at crypto companies. Warren took a swipe at fintechs and other essentially regulated sectors, asking whether Benson had a concrete plan to mitigate the risk posed by emerging financial technologies. This isn't a sandbox, it's a system that hardworking Americans rely on, she said. Warren's question is beyond crypto. She zeroed in on Benson's track record of supporting delegation. In a Wall Street Journal essential opinion, Benson hailed Trump-era policies and calling for essentially the economy to be fixed by Donald Trump. But Warren isn't buying it. She pointed out how delegation helped tank the economy in 2008, costing nearly $20 trillion, displacing millions of families. One thing you should know about Senator Elizabeth Warren is that she misinforms about everything. She will take a random misinformation fact and use it as if it's gospel. Senator Elizabeth Warren was the same person that went to Congress with an article from the Wall Street Journal, where the Wall Street Journal puts in that article that 90% of crypto transactions are all used by illicit activities, for illicit activities. Senator Elizabeth Warren took that article to Congress and said, look, the Wall Street Journal has said 90% of all crypto transactions are all illicit activities, which then made essentially analytic companies like Chain Analysis do a study test. And it comes out and it says essentially 2% or less than 1% is actually used for illicit activities, which is lower than cash is. And do you think Senator Elizabeth Warren decided to take her words back and say, well, the article misinformed me? No. She continued pressing and saying, using the same old article in front of Congress and going, look, crypto's bad. Even though the Wall Street Journal edited their article and took out the words 90%, Senator Elizabeth Warren didn't. She kept on using the old article while the new one was still edited. So she does like to essentially misinform as much as she can. She likes to essentially take things out of context and make up things essentially make up scenarios in her own head and, place them on Congress's table and see what essentially who's biting it. But Warren isn't buying it. She pointed out that the economy that tanked, essentially the 2008 situation, was because of policies that Trump's going to be creating. 2008 was a banking situation, a banking crisis situation where bankers were essentially giving out mortgages like they were giving out free samples, which ended up a lot of people not being able to pay it, and obviously the markets tanked. That's got nothing to do with Trump's policies. Her letter essentially connected the dots between Trump's economic growth and regulatory relief and Consumer Protection Act, and the 2023 collapse of Silicon Valley Bank, SV Bank. The essentially Federal Reserve blamed weakened regulations and courtesies of the SVB's failure. It's true. SV Bank did fail because of Gary Gensler, because he didn't bring out regulations, because of the FDIC chairman, because he said the banks aren't allowed to work with crypto companies, which made SV Bank collapse. Also, the FTX situation put pressure on them. But who was in charge of telling Gary Gensler what to do? Was it essentially Senator Elizabeth Warren? Why was the FDIC chairman stifling banks from working with crypto companies? It all leads back to her. Do you agree with this assessment, she says? Warren asked, what's your plan to ensure delegation doesn't cause another banking crisis? She also deemed Benson's essentially commitment to upholding the Dodd-Frank Act, the post-2008 legislation designed to prevent financial meltdowns. Will you fully enforce the law Congress passed to keep banks in check, she pressed. Benson's vague responses about evaluating the framework likely won't fly come Thursday. This Thursday coming, Benson is about to go in front of essentially a group of Congress members, and he's supposed to state his case. And Senator Elizabeth Warren is already trying to target him out because she doesn't like him. She doesn't like him because he's a Trump supporter. She doesn't like him because he's a crypto supporter. And she's already trying to go against him. Benson's tax policies plans whether another flashpoint. Warren slammed his support for Trump's tax cuts, which slashed corporate tax rates but added $4.5 trillion to the federal deficit. Trump's corporate taxes, essentially the tax cuts, are amazing. If anybody says otherwise, they're stupid. I'll be very honest. Because if you don't understand the basics of how a corporate operation works, then the Congressional Budget Office, CBO, reported these cuts failed to achieve the promised essentially 3% economic growth, leaving Warren to ask why didn't it work and why it doubled down. Her letter dug into essentially Benson's 333 plan, a strategy to cut taxes, reduce deficit, and essentially boost growth in America. She called it a pipe dream, essentially questioning how Benson will recoil essentially slashing taxes with reducing the deficit. Do you really believe tax cuts pay for themselves? She wrote, pointing to CBO projections showing the opposite. Warren asked whether Benson supported a rolling back, essentially the Trump tax cuts for the wealthy, which essentially benefited high-income households. Okay, one thing that really needs to be very clear to everyone is that the amount of lies inside the politics, inside the banking world, inside of the news is ridiculous. It's on another high level right now. One of them being that a lot of people are saying, regarding all the Trump tax cuts as well, they're saying that people that have high, essentially, value networks and so on are going to get some sort of a tax cut. Even before Trump's policy comes into power, already there's a loophole that Hillary Clinton left behind, which rich, wealthy people use that loophole to pay less tax. But they don't mention that. Senator Elizabeth Warren won't mention that Hillary Clinton, from then until now, has left a loophole for any wealthy person to not pay tax. But because Trump is actually going to make it a law, it's all of a sudden a big deal. But you can still do it. There's just a loophole. But now it's going to become law. Oh, why is Trump doing this? You can already do this. Second of all, essentially, her talking about, his pipe dreams and how Trump is going to ruin America and pay more taxes. If you do tax rate cuts and so on is bad. Let's just say we tax the wealthy a lot of money. We tax the wealthy people. We tax the corporations. We tax everybody that has money. What makes us think that that money is going to re-enter the communities? That money is going to rebuild schools. That money is going to rebuild roads. That money is going to do something for the public. Are we supposed to believe that that money is going to re-enter the communities? Or is that money going to end up in Zelensky's pocket in Ukraine? Because there's the ideology that people have that, if governments can tax the wealthy people, if governments can tax the corporations, then the government will have a lot of money, which then they can spend to fix the roads and fix the hospitals and fix the schools and bring more education and money for the communities. That's la land. The reality of it is that if the government gets more money, if any government gets more money from corporations or wealthy people, not a single penny will be entering your communities. Not a single penny will be spent on fixing roads or building schools or doing anything for the public. Every single penny will go inside the government's pocket, which will end up in someone like Zelensky's pocket in Ukraine. And you will have no say. So next time I want to see a politician comes out and goes, we should be taxing the wealthy people. We should be taxing everybody that has money. We should be taxing everybody that's a mega corporation. For what? So you can send the money to Ukraine? And then also you have, Elizabeth Warren continuing on. She also grilled him on closing the carried interest loophole, a move that could raise $63.1 billion in revenue over the 10 years, and implementing a global minimum tax to prevent the multinational, essentially corporations, from dodging taxes. Benson's stance on corporate alternatives and minimum tax also came under scrutiny. Elizabeth Warren demanded a firm commitment to essentially enforcing the tax, which targets the most profitable companies and is projected to generate $250 billion over a decade. That's all Elizabeth Warren wants to do. The only thing Elizabeth Warren wants to do is tax corporations so she can handle the money. And she went in. She went in on essentially Warren essentially questioned whether Benson agreed with the proposals to limit the FDIC's ability. Apparently, Trump's administration wants to limit the FDIC's ability, which I think is great, because the FDIC essentially was the one stifling all American banks from working with essentially corporate, crypto, blockchain companies, which I don't think is a bad idea. I'll be honest. There's not a single policy right now that Trump has came out and I could say is bad. Every single one I've heard so far and every single one that's going to be implementing is all great ideas. I'm not saying he's not going to be ever having a bad one, but for the time being, he's only had great ideas. But as the crypto space is growing and expanding in America, very slowly, it's growing, expanding in America, with all the positiveness that's coming in from Congress, from all the positiveness that's in terms of crypto policies, from Congress, from chairmen, from executives, from Wall Street, everybody's lining up. And the new chairmen we're getting, FDIC chairman, pro-crypto, new SEC chairman, pro-crypto, new CFTC chairman, pro-crypto, and it's just a growing list of pro-crypto candidates taking positions for a capital crypto of America situation happening. And then you have people like Elizabeth Warren, who was just standing by themselves and going, crypto's still bad. And then she tries to play the moral high ground as if being some sort of an angel in this scenario. Now, moving on essentially from Elizabeth Warren's stupidity, as always, to MicroStrategy. As the market prices are dropping, guess who's buying? MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy once again takes advantage of the fall of Bitcoin. MicroStrategy, under the leadership of Michael Saylor, continues to strengthen its position as the largest holder of Bitcoin. Currently, the company has purchased essentially 2,530 Bitcoins for the amount of essentially $243 million, then demonstrating its confidence in the long-term potential of BTC despite the current microeconomic challenges that's going on. The company MicroStrategy, headed by Michael Saylor, has just made a massive essentially purchase of additional essentially 2,530 Bitcoins. And this acquisition took place during a market correction where the price of Bitcoin fell below the psychological barrier of $100,000 from essentially January 7th. Indeed, MicroStrategy took advantage of this drop to buy another essentially additional of an average price of BTC around $95,972. With this new acquisition, MicroStrategy now holds more than $450,000 worth of Bitcoins, acquired for a total of $28.2 billion at an average price of $62,691 per Bitcoin. This position reinforces essentially the company's strategy to position itself as a major player inside the crypto ecosystem. The massive Bitcoin purchase by MicroStrategy, as well as by other essentially speculative cryptocurrency funds, has led to a decrease in Bitcoin's reserves on exchanges and reaching a level close to essentially what to be observed in 7 years ago. This could essentially where a strong buyer demand meets a decreasing amount of BTC, resulting in a price appreciation. Furthermore, the strength of the US dollar, supported by the Fed's restrictive monetary policies, continues to essentially weigh in on the price of Bitcoin. And in summary, this Bitcoin purchase by MicroStrategy during a market correction highlights the company's confidence in the long-term potential of the cryptocurrency. However, the macroeconomic challenges and persist, and investors will need to remain vigilant in the face of market fluctuations. No matter what the price of Bitcoin is, one person is definitely buying it at any cost. Is pretty much Michael said, MicroStrategy, MSTR. And their whole bet is that America essentially will become the #1 crypto hub, and that America will introduce a Bitcoin reserve, which will make MicroStrategy a $1 trillion company, established $1 trillion company. Now, the next news we are going to be covering is also Bitcoin related, and it's by Similar Scientific. But before we go through that news, let's go to the comment section first. As I said previously, this is essentially a live show, which means if you do have any questions, put it down in the comment section. We're more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So let's go to the comment section first, and then we go straight into the next news afterwards. So let's see where we were at. We were at, and by the way, I don't miss anyone's questions either. I don't skim through questions. I'm reading everyone's one by one and giving an answer to everyone as well. Let's see where we're at. We were at here. Hey, Miles, have you heard of HBOL working with Starlink, Elon, to have nodes on his satellites? I heard something on those lines. Yes, I did. Make it good to see you. I heard something on those lines. Why did you set up the Communist 2025 post show the fire in law and new virus from China? Why they set it up? The LA situation and the Communist 2025 post show and the fire and so on. Because everything's coordinated. Miles, if XRP goes to 3 to 4 digits after a black swan event, it will be like Amazon from .com bubble. And like you said, history will repeat itself, so it's logical. Fair enough. How old? Do you think they were already pro-crypto but had to hide their investments. Do I think politicians are already pro-crypto but they had to hide their investments? No, because the average age of a politician, unfortunately, is about 90 years old by the looks of it. And a 90-year-old will have very difficulty understanding what blockchain technology is. And honestly, people like Elizabeth Warren, they're at an age where they should be retiring, spending time with their family members or their loved ones, but they're trying to dictate how the rest of us will live for the next 50 years, and they won't even be here for it because of natural causes. They will pass away. I personally think that people that are going to be passing away within the next 3 years due to age and due to a natural cause should not dictate how the rest of us should live in the next 50 years if they're not going to be alive for it. How old Black Swan seems possible? Yes, it does. Hi, how's it going? Hashtag crypto. Nicholas, how you doing? How you been? Miles, you heard that today Michael Saylor just purchased more BTC worth $245 million. Yes, I did. We just went for the news now. Hi, CMF and Evening Miles. Sorry, I'm late. Peg, good to see you. How you doing? How you been, Peg? Evening Miles and CMF. Money, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Elizabeth Warren should be on trial regarding FTX. I agree 100%. There's somebody telling Elizabeth Warren what to do, and I'm believing it's China. So I feel like Elizabeth Warren should be investigated for treason. What do you think about the under massive unlocks? I'm tempted to convert it to stable and reconvert it after. Only thing I'm worried is that 20 is too close. If you want to, it's not a bad idea if you do want to do that. Maneuver and come back to it. Take a closer look at the British government when they confiscated Russian money in the UK. All that money went to Zelensky, and we still have $40 billion in deficit. That's true. We still have $40 billion in debt. Politicians around the world should all be held to account and put on trial. I agree. Not just Ukraine. They're all kissing the other person's ass that they're going to come. Yeah, I agree. Now, another company that's also following MicroStrategy's footsteps is Similar Scientific, who also brought $23 million worth of Bitcoin today as well. Similar Scientific has brought an additional 237 Bitcoins for approximately $23 million, or just over 98,000 per coin, the healthcare technology company said, essentially. It brought BTC using proceeds from stock sales and operating cash flows. The company now holds a total of 2,321 Bitcoins worth nearly $192 million. It brought the BTC with an average cost basis of less than $83,000, and Similar has essentially issued more than $120 million of stocks to finance its BTC buying. Among other activities, the BTC purchases brought the stock's Bitcoin yields up from 72.6% to 99.3%. Bitcoin yield measures the ratios of BTC holdings to outstanding shares and sets BTC essentially per share as the lowest for corporate performance. Similar also said that the metrics serve to supplement an investments and understandings of BTC's buying strategy. In July, Similar also executives said buying Bitcoin allowed the struggling company to finally emerge from the zombie status. A zombie status essentially is when companies earn just enough to continue operating and service essentially debts, but have no excess essentially excess in terms of capital to support growth, or often close to essentially insolvencies. And Bitcoin yields was originally essentially coined by MicroStrategy, a software company that started buying Bitcoin a very long time ago. And other companies, including Similar, have followed MicroStrategy's footsteps. They include essentially Morpha Ho, essentially an artificial intelligence developer, Genius Group, and YouTube alternative Rumble as well. And corporate treasuries hold more than $54 billion in Bitcoins as of January 13th, according to BitcoinTreasuries.net. And Similar Bitcoins also treasury ranks in the 13th in terms of size among public companies. Now, on the topic of Bitcoin, essentially MicroStrategy buying more Bitcoin as Bitcoin goes down, and then you have companies that follow MicroStrategy's footsteps buying Bitcoin when Bitcoin goes down. You also have JP Morgan on the other side of the spectrum, and their CEO. So here is the newest perspective from Jamie Dimon. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon expresses skepticism over Bitcoin's role. Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase, appeared on CBS News Sunday morning, where he underestimated Bitcoin, expressing concerns about its potential as a custodian asset and he worries about the virtual currency's relation to crime. However, it is not the first time essentially Dimon has taken full essentially competent view of cryptocurrencies. In the past, he has changed his stance on technology to recognize its usefulness in the financial sector. You know what's interesting? How Jamie Dimon is so passionate about, money being clean. Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Bank, is so passionate about money being clean and so on, where he states essentially on CBS that he worries, JP Morgan, CEO of a bank, biggest bank in the world, worries about the relationship that Bitcoin has with crime. JP Morgan paid a fine because they were washing money for the cartel families. And that wasn't the first instance. However, it is not the first time Jamie Dimon has taken full, essentially competent view of cryptocurrencies in the past. Though he has made several negative, essentially, comments about Bitcoin, Jamie Dimon said he is not totally against digital currencies. He pointed out that digital currencies will be one of the key components of future, essentially, financial systems. However, he does essentially not consider Bitcoin as a part of his future. This continued suspicion occurs when the prices of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies remain unstable and unpredictable. Despite Jamie Dimon's negative view on Bitcoin, JP Morgan Chase, which he leads, has been active in the blockchain technology space, has even provided Bitcoin services to some of its clients. The contrast between Jamie Dimon's words and JP Morgan's behavior demonstrates a kind, essentially, of contradicting attitude towards cryptocurrencies within the banking space. John Deaton, founder of Crypto Law USA, has pointed out that these contradictions, emphasizing the minimal percentage of Bitcoin transactions linked to illicit activities and citing JP Morgan's regulatory fines and essentially overinvestments and various infractions. Moreover, JP Morgan holds investments in crypto assets like BlackRock's iBit and Grayscale's essential Bitcoin trust, and further complicating the narrative around Jamie Dimon's public dismissals of Bitcoin. After Dimon's remarks, the crypto markets has shown a mixed signal with the price of Bitcoin dropping. However, analysts believe in the possibility of a rebound in the future expansions based on technicals and markets, and the controversy sparked by Jamie Dimon's statements highlights the general public debate on the value of the future of cryptocurrencies. If you're wondering essentially why the crypto markets were all over the place today, if the crypto markets were up, they were down, they were sideways, is because on one side of the news was Donald Trump coming out and saying, essentially crypto positivity, January 20th, and there was news around Donald Trump introducing a law day one that's positive for the crypto space. And then there was also news about the FDIC chairman being pro-crypto, and then there was news essentially about the Senate Banking Committee choosing a pro-crypto nominee. And then on the other side, you also had Jamie Dimon saying Bitcoin is useless, and then also you had Senator Elizabeth Warren grilling a member before they enter the Treasury. That is why the markets were all over the place today, because there was a lot of opinions, some good and some bad, which made the market pretty much go all over the place today. Now, moving on essentially from the Jamie Dimon news, and now you understand why today the market was all over the place, because there were too many perspectives spinning around inside the market space. We're going to go on to the UK now. So we're going to put the American news to one side for now. I'm going to come back to the American news. But for now, let's talk about the UK just for a second. Because the UK has introduced, talked about the idea of introducing and becoming the capital hub for AI technology, artificial intelligence. Which is all great, UK aiming for the capital hub of AI technology, amazing. Just a few issues. One, the UK decided to become the hub of cryptocurrencies. We haven't seen anything since the announcement of becoming a hub for the cryptocurrency space. Now we have the announcement of we're going to become the AI capital of the world, the UK is saying. I'll see it, I'll believe it when I see it, is what I would say to that. Because what happened to the idea of becoming a crypto hub? It just completely disappeared. And now we're on the idea of becoming an AI hub. I'll believe it when I see it when it comes to that. On the other side, we also have a major debt problem in the UK. Major debt problem inside the UK. And, well, that money that was supposed to go to hospitals or children's schools or fixing roads or the UK safety in general, well, that money is now going to be flowed into AI technology. The UK launches a 50-point AI strategy aiming to compete with OpenAI and establish a sovereign AI capabilities. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is set to unveil an ambitious 50-point AI strategy, positioning the UK as a global leader in artificial intelligence. The initiative, known as AI Opportunities Action Plan, outlines a decade-long roadmap to accelerate AI developments and drive economic growth and boost innovation. A key essentially element of this strategy is the creation of a UK-based AI platform to compete with OpenAI ChatGPT, signaling the government's intent to establish a sovereign AI capabilities. Because obviously that is what we asked for in the UK. You know, if you're living in the UK, that is what everybody wants. Another platform that we spent billions of pounds of creating a replica ChatGPT. That is what the UK is aiming for now. The Prime Minister of the UK has decided, even though that people can't afford many things in the UK, like gas, electrics, groceries, rent, mortgage, loans, and that there are hospitals or, the doctors aren't getting paid, the NHS is, overstaffed, under budget, the roads aren't fixed, the UK has no safety, but the UK has decided to spend billions of pounds on creating an open ChatGPT AI replica. This announcement follows essentially Keir Starmer's controversial decision to cancel the $1.3 billion commitment to AI computing projects initiated by former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who's also a moron. Instead, his administration is prioritizing a broader AI essentially driven economic strategy, leveraging public-private partnerships and targeting infrastructure investments to maximize AI economic potentials. Essentially a critical component of the plan is the 20-fold increase in government-owned AI computing resources, providing greater access to advanced machine learning infrastructure. The initiative also includes the creation of an AI growth zones. This is where it gets a little bit interesting. The government is thinking about introducing in the UK. Now, this might be relatable to you if you're also living outside of the UK. If you're living in Western countries, if you're living in Europe, for example, or the US or Canada or so on, this is also relatable to you and the rest of the world, to be fairly honest, because not only is the UK thinking about introducing an AI program, which, by the way, they've been working on it for a decade by the looks of it, they're thinking about introducing some features to this whole AI space in the UK. For example, the initiatives of the 20-fold essentially increase in a government-owned AI computing resource, providing greater access to advanced machine learning infrastructure. The initiative also includes the creation of an AI growth zone, with Clapham and essentially Oxfordshire as the first pilot locations. Now, they haven't went into length of a detail of what they actually mean by a AI growth zone, but I'm guessing they're going to be using AI models in those areas, first of all, before the rest of the UK. Essentially, Colham and Oxfordshire are going to be the first places to have these new AI capabilities, where the machine is going to be learning. These zones will streamline data center approvals, ensure enhanced energy grid access, and create fast-track regulatory frameworks to support AI startups and research institutions. The UK currently ranks third globally in AI developments behind China and the United States, according to the Stanford University of the 2023 Global AI Vacancy Ranking. It's interesting that the UK decided to take out data and a report of the UK ranking third in AI technology. The only issue is the report is from 2023. I'm guessing in the 2024 report, we weren't ranking third. That's probably why they didn't use it in their big, bold speech of, the UK being third in AI technology It's just that the report is from 2023 and we're in 2025. The UK government believes that the AI could essentially contribute up to $57 billion in annual economic gains over the next decade, significantly boosting productivity and innovation across industries. So the UK is basically hoping for the idea of introducing one AI technology to the UK. So having AI cameras everywhere to spy on people, that's just going to be normal as we go on, not just in the UK, but worldwide in general. But the thing is, the UK thinks that just by introducing AI technology and so on, they're going to get investments coming in from abroad. If the UK hasn't realized, there are millionaires and billionaires leaving the UK for a reason. What makes you think if the UK comes out and goes, we're going to become a capital AI hub, all the millionaires and billionaires who have left the UK will all of a sudden going to come back and go, yes, we want to invest our hard-earned money into a government AI program. You know, the UK was the only country that had zero growth at a time when every other country was having some sort of growth. The UK's AI strategy hinges on a strong partnership with technology firms and startups, ensuring that the government agencies actively collaborate with industry leaders. Secretary of State for Science, Innovation and Technology Peter Kyle emphasized the need for dedicated AI leads within government agencies to identify high impact in terms of AI use cases. Kyle outlined the government's plans to engage directly with AI product teams, shaping developments by providing insights into public sector challenges. This collaboration will involve rapid prototype developments, structured essentially processes, and flexible AI essentially adoptions of frameworks that involves essentially based on industry advancements and real-world applications. Starmer's government sees AI as a transformable force capable of enhancing public services, streamlining regulatory processes, and improving economic efficiencies. His plan is to integrate AI into various sectors, including education, healthcare, and infrastructure, ensuring that technological advancements directly impact citizens' quality of life. Despite growing optimism, the UK's economy remains under pressure with zero growth recorded in Q3 of 2024 and concerns of a potential double-dip recession. The Labour-led government is betting on AI to reverse economic stagnation, create new jobs and positions as Britain, essentially leading AI innovation hub, happens. However, the plan's success will largely depend on execution investments and the UK's ability to attract top-tier AI developers or investment companies, because the UK is broke to pay for it itself. I'll be honest, possibly the worst idea. Is this the worst idea they've came up with so far? Is it worse than sending billions of British pounds to Ukraine for no apparent reason? Or is that one worse? Or is it this one, that they want to spend billions of British pounds to create a ChatGPT replica? Why not just use ChatGPT? But also, the other thing, which is they will involve the rapidly processing and so on. And Keir Starmer sees AI essentially as a transformative force capable of enhancing public services, streamlining regulatory processes, and improving economic efficiencies. One thing, the UK has a lot of problems. If you're somebody else outside the UK, your countries might be the same. The UK has major safety issues. The UK has. Some people might not want to point it out, but some people will. The UK is not safe as it used to be. The UK is, in terms of pricing, it's higher on the upper side. So there's so many issues right now going on. I don't think the possible scenario is for this to be happening. But the funniest part is Keir Starmer thinking millionaires and billionaires are going to come back to the UK to invest. Nobody's going to come to the UK to invest. You know why? Because they could go to Dubai, for example, pay 0% on tax and invest and make millions. And the rules are better. Or they can go to Saudi Arabia and invest. Or they could go to Kuwait or Bahrain or Qatar or even Singapore or Monaco. There are so many, or America now. I'll be honest. If somebody tells you where's the best place to invest, if you want to get involved in blockchain, before I would have told people Dubai. Now I'm telling people US. Trump is about to take over America, make it a capital crypto hub. The best place to invest would be the US. Why the hell would anybody come to the UK to invest? The taxes are high. It's not safe. I'll be honest, there are so many issues wrong right now in the UK. It's because, and to be fair, look, we've got no one. In the UK, we've genuinely got no one. There's not one political party in the UK that could take and change the UK's outcome. What we need in the UK is somebody like Trump. We have somebody similar to Trump, but unfortunately, that man is not taking the ranks. He doesn't want to step up. The equivalent of Trump for the UK is Peter Jones, basically. But Peter Jones won't step up and take the ranks. So we're left with the same group of politicians that we're always left with. And not a single one of them is bright enough to essentially turn and steer this country in the right direction. They're all greedy. They're all on the same path. They all pretend to hate each other. They don't hate each other. It's a difficult time in the UK. It's a very, very difficult time in the UK. But we need somebody like Trump in the UK, and we don't have somebody like Trump in the UK. So we're stuck with the same group of politicians every 4 years. Or in this case, we had three prime ministers in the space of a first, essentially, attempt. But we need somebody like Trump. And our equivalent will be Peter Jones, but unfortunately, that man is not taking the ranks because he doesn't want to step up. Now, let's go into the comment section and moving away from the UK government's new plans to spend money on building a ChatGPT replica to Justin Sun. But before we go through Justin Sun's news, which is very positive for the crypto space, let's go inside the comment section first. As I said previously, this is a live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. More than happy to answer any questions you may have. Let's see where we're at. Not just Ukraine. Okay, right, here we go. Yep, not just Ukraine. They all, they are. Hi, Miles and everyone. Hope everyone is well. If a black swan comes, do you think XRP will go below £1? It's possible, yes, if we do have a black swan event. Jamie Dimon is a two-faced hypocrite. JP Morgan hold BTC. That's true. Very true, yeah. When we have regulations, JP Morgan will change their perspective. He even said to their employees that they are not allowed to hold Bitcoin or to accumulate it on their side, which is true. And what a waste of resources is what the UK is doing. Yep. Keir Starmer is a puppet, puppet. Yeah. And he doesn't even have to take on Elon Musk's remarks. That's true. Reason why UK wants to become an AI hub is because they can find people much more easier with AI. It's true. It's all true. The only thing they will use AI to issue more parking tickets. Also true. Sounds like a disaster because it is. Keir Starmer is living in La La Land. Yep, I don't mind. You don't mind an AI future? Good for you. Facts. Let's go, Ray. Keir Starmer circus freaks. Basically. Hello, Miles and family. Heard Canada is in talks with China, free trade agreements. Sounds like idiot Trudeau is trying to stick it to Trump. I would rather Canada merge with the US. Well, that's not good. If Canada wants to essentially go on its ones and try to come up with some sort of a agreement with China behind Trump's backs, that's not going to end well for Canada. He must be an absolute buffoon. The only reason that Canada is standing on its own two legs is because of America, who pays them billions of dollars a year. If Canada decides to, turn their back on Trump and the US and try to do some sort of a side deal with China, that won't end too well. I'll give you an example. Saudi Arabia, the only reason countries like Saudi Arabia have the money and infrastructure that they do have now is because of American oil companies. The reason why Dubai exists is because of American oil companies. The reason why Abu Dhabi exists because of American oil companies. The reason why the entire Middle East pretty much exists is because of American oil companies. All the essentially Gulf Arabian countries. And for example, Saudi Arabia was invited to join BRICS. When it was first announced, I said it's a stupid idea. I said, the reason why Saudi Arabia even exists is because of American oil companies. If Saudi Arabia turned their back on America, that could pretty much be it for Saudi Arabia. And I said, well, it's a stupid mistake if Saudi Arabia does it and, joins BRICS. So fast forward to 2025, and about a week ago, where Saudi Arabia comes out and rejects and essentially joining BRICS. Because you can't go up against, essentially, you can't go up against the US. It's just a losing battle, especially if Trump's in power. And if Trump is in power, then going up against the US is the worst possible idea you can make, you can possibly have. So Saudi Arabia, in my opinion, made the right decision. If Saudi Arabia joined BRICS, then BRICS would have had too much control of the oil situation. But obviously, they made the correct move of not joining BRICS. But that's what I'm trying to say in terms of Canada. If Canada tries to do a back deal situation with China, then America just pulled the plug on paying essentially Canada billions of dollars every year, and Canada's economy will crash. So that'd be a bad idea for Canada. Hello, Miles and family. Yeah. So come on to thank you so much for that. Let me know. Sorry, people. Sorry, everyone. 1 second. Sorry about that, everyone. AI agents are all BS. It's just AI. Yeah, pretty much. 51 state is much better option. It is, definitely. Now, Justin Sun. Justin Sun gives a bullish advice in terms of cryptocurrencies and the market space in general, because we are not in, as many people want to believe, we're not in a bear market. We haven't been in a bear market for a while. We're just in a very manipulated market space, but still a bullish market space. Okay, we're not in a bear market. We're not going towards a bear market. We're actually in a bullish market. It's just a very manipulated market space, which I've shown you the examples of how essentially we got this positivity coming out. Donald Trump becoming essentially January 20th coming in, going to be introducing a crypto policy by the looks of it, essentially on day number 1. We have a pro FDIC chairman coming in for cryptocurrencies. We have essentially a pro banking senate member coming in for cryptocurrencies. On the other side, we also have essentially Senator Elizabeth Warren and JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon being anti-crypto, which causes manipulation on the market space. So that's why the markets are like this, because we have good news and bad news coming at the same time. So the market moves all over the place. It's not because we're in a bear market. It's not because we are going into bear market in any sort of a way. We're actually going towards a bull market, much more of a bigger bull market, because we're already in one. Putting that to one side, here it is. Tron's founder, Justin Sun, known for his notable crypto investments, offered a much-needed dose of optimism in the market's chaos in 2025. 2025 has not started smoothly for many investors as the overall crypto market took a hit. Over the last 24 hours, the crypto markets recorded a $700 million essential liquidations. This marked one of the most severe dips since the new year. In a single day, the crypto markets experienced one of its most significant downturns of the year. Bitcoin, essentially, which many investors are still clinging to as a safe asset in the space, fell to its lowest points essentially in 2 months. The digital currency managed a small bounce above $93,000, but the market as a whole is still under heavy pressure. Including Ethereum, while Bitcoin's drop was significant, the altcoins, especially the smaller caps and assets, took the hardest blow. These tokens fueled the liquidation wave, making it a particularly harsh time for those holding assets outside of their top-tier essential cryptos. Yet, aimed this chaos, the Justin Sun perspective stood out as a voice of optimism. Justin Sun's first essential advice was simple yet profound. Just want to point this out. Not financial advice in any sort of way. This is not my opinion. So Justin Sun's perspective on this matter right now is in the market space. What you should be doing is, his words, buy the dip. He reminded investors that while the current market may seem tough now, the long-term essentially potentials of virtual assets remains undeniable. And despite these short-term challenges, the fundamentals of crypto to continue to point towards growth. Justin Sun also suggested that this moment could be present as a valuable, essentially buying opportunity for those with a long-term outlook. His second piece of advice, focused on the province, was he clarified that it was not the time to sit back or panic. Instead, it is the time to focus on strengthening the ecosystems in which the cryptos thrive in. By continuing to build and innovate, the market can come out of this slump even stronger. While Bitcoin's drop was steep, it is important to remember that the recovery phase is just as crucial. If Bitcoin manages to reclaim $97,500 mark, it could essentially signal the beginning of a broader market recovery. A bullish Bitcoin is often the catalyst for a rebound essentially across altcoins, lifting the market as a whole. Investors are keeping a close eye on whether the asset can regain its footing, a push towards essentially an all-time high. In the volatile markets, one thing is clear: the road to recovery may be bumpy. However, potential rewards for those who hold on and build could be substantial. As 2025 unfolds, the crypto community continues to stay hopeful, with Justin Sun's optimistic outlook and clear path forward. Justin Sun, for the first time in his life, he has made essentially a speech that I do agree with. Essentially, this is not doom and gloom. The market's just all over the place due to multiple manipulation scenarios from high-profile seats and prospective matters. But what Justin Sun essentially is saying, we're going towards a much more bigger space. We are. Grayscale said the exact same thing. Analysts from essentially JP Morgan said the exact same thing as well. A lot of analysts from high-profile institutions came out and said we are going to a massive market space right now. And how can we not? A Trump presidency, a capital of cryptocurrency hub for America. The world follows America's footsteps in terms of the market space. We're going towards such a massive space for cryptocurrencies right now, where the amount of money that's been flowing inside the market space is going to be ridiculous. If you position well, you can do very well for yourself, depending on the crypto assets you're holding. So make sure you're holding correct assets, in other words, which towards the end of the live show, I'll reveal what crypto assets you should be looking towards. Those are legitimate assets. But essentially, moving on from what Justin Sun has said, and it's not doom and gloom in any sort of way, we're still going towards a massive positive space right now. January 20th onwards, essentially. But before that, Biden's circus freaks of administration can cause anything to happen. But moving on, essentially, to Tether. Putting the Justin story to one side, Justin Sun's story to one side, and his perspective on that, to Tether. Tether is moving its headquarters to El Salvador after securing a license. Now, I've revealed this before. I've said this before, and I'm not saying, this is just my perspective on the matter of Tether. Some people are saying Tether's days are, numbered. Some people are saying Tether's days are okay, and Tether's going to still be around. I've always been on the side more of Tether's days are numbered. And this is another example. So, as you know, the US, so far, is not very fond of Tether, USDT. Mainly because USDT is the biggest stablecoin in the world. Pretty much inside the crypto space, USDT is the number one stablecoin in the world. And the number one stablecoin in the world in the crypto space is US dollars. Unfortunately, it's not owned by the US. The number one stablecoin, which is US dollars, is not owned by a US company. A US company doesn't own it. In fact, it was funded by the Chinese. And that's a bit of an issue for the US. Which, the US will argue the point of Tether does it for illicit, Tether moves around illicit activity, money or laundry, whatever. But the biggest point is the number one stablecoin in the market space, in the crypto market space, is US dollars. And it's not controlled by the US in any sort of a way, which isn't going to end well for Tether. That's the main reason. But here's another reason. Tether has already been under scrutiny many times. Once for saying essentially Venezuela. Venezuela is sanctioned from using the US dollars. Tether's CEO comes out and goes, if Venezuela is sanctioned from the US dollars, then Venezuela can use Tether's USDT. And that was the time that the US wasn't very fond of Tether in any sort of a way. The US sanctions Venezuela. Not saying it's good or bad, that's got nothing to do with us. The topic of just sanctioning. The US sanctions Venezuela. Tether decides to come out and go, CEO decides to come out and go, if Venezuela is sanctioned, they can use from the US dollars, they can use the digital US dollars, USDT, which didn't really put Tether on the good books for the US. And now you fast forward to today, where Tether is introducing as their headquarters, HQ, in El Salvador. Now, they did this after securing a license, and some people will argue the point. It makes sense, El Salvador, big on Bitcoin, big on cryptocurrencies, a great president. It makes sense. Tether is also big on Bitcoin and so on and so on. And, well, here it is. Tether, the issuer of USDT stablecoin, shared that this is, that they're moving its headquarters to El Salvador, just as they're securing a license to operate as a digital asset provider. In a statement on January 13th, Tether said it is inspired by El Salvador's forward-thinking policies, favorable, essentially, regulatory environments, and growing Bitcoin-savvy community. They're trying to take a hit at the EU for kicking them out. The CEO of Tether added that by rooting ourselves in El Salvador, we are aligning with a country that shares our vision of financial freedom, innovation, and resilience. El Salvador has been a big name in the space ever since its president decided to make Bitcoin a legal tender back in 2021. And Tether itself has also been participating in some of its local projects in the country, like supporting geothermal energies for renewable power. Moreover, the president of El Salvador and Tether's CEO have met before on several occasions, especially with Tether supporting his efforts to bring cryptocurrency firms to the country. Tether's CEO said the decision to relocate its natural progression for Tether, as it allows us to build a new home, foster collaborations, and strengthen our focus on emerging markets. The president of El Salvador is someone you would call a true Bitcoin fan. In 2024 interview with him, described Bitcoin as an adoption as a net positive for El Salvador, while we are all the same, admitting that the adoption is going slower than he wanted, essentially helped him. The government itself reportedly holds 6,000 Bitcoins valued at more than $550 million as of December 2024. But a recent survey showed that over 90% of El Salvadorians still do not essentially use any sort of Bitcoin transactions. And that the president, known for branding himself as the world's coolest dictator, has been praised for reducing crime rates, for criticized essentially for helping out the country and so on, but the International Monetary Fund is not really fond of them in any sort of a way. But now, putting that to one side, Tether is trying to expand itself in any sort of a way possible. And obviously being kicked out of the EU was the biggest blow that Tether could have possibly taken. So Tether is deciding to itself to essentially invest and grow in Latin American countries or any country that pretty much accepts them. This is definitely desperation, which was mentioned essentially earlier on the live show inside the comment section when someone asked the question of, is Tether showing essentially desperation, joining El Salvador, essentially becoming a headquarters in El Salvador? Yes, it is. This is definitely desperation. Tether's days are definitely numbered. There's also another reason, but I'm not going to be saying on this live. BlackRock launches a new Bitcoin ETF in Canada. BlackRock's US IBIT ETF has emerged as the world's most popular, essentially as the world's most popular BTC fund. Since launching in January 2024, the fund has clocked more than $37 billion in net inflows, according to data from far-side investors. Overall, US Bitcoin ETFs saw more than $35 billion in net inflows for the year, or roughly essentially $144 million in net inflows each trading day, far-side said. This figure factors in more than $20 billion of net inflows from Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust, GBTC, which is the asset manager launched in 2013. Initially as a non-listed trust, GBTC charges significantly higher management fees than compared to the rest of his partners. But Canada is about to get its first Bitcoin ETF from BlackRock. Honestly, this year especially, the world is going to be changing so much in terms of a positive crypto step. That's even, BlackRock has decided to open their arms up to Canada. The reason why BlackRock didn't do that in the past is because Canada was run by a moron who is now leaving Canada. He's stepping down, essentially Justin Trudeau. stepping down as Canada's Prime Minister because he is a genuine moron. So BlackRock didn't even bother introducing a Bitcoin ETF in Canada, but decided to introduce a Bitcoin ETF essentially in Brazil's market space, in Australia's market space, and a few other countries in the Middle East. And now they've decided to do it in Canada as well, because I do believe Canada is about to be stepping into the crypto space as well very soon, the moment this man decides to leave office. But these are indications that the world is genuinely shifting when BlackRock is making moves like this. And also, Binance, moving on essentially from BlackRock to Binance. Binance is about to be resued again. So it seems like the US's feud with Binance is not over yet, or with CZ, because Binance is facing class action as the Supreme Court rejects appeals. Binance is heading to court after the US Supreme Court refused to block a class action lawsuit against the company and its founder CZ. This decision allows investors to pursue their claims in lower courts, alleging that Binance actually sold certain digital assets as investments which later lost value. The lawsuit says that Binance sold certain digital investments, but those assets later lost value. Initially, a US appeals court ruled that these transactions fell under the American law. Binance and essentially CZ tried to challenge this ruling, but the Supreme Court's decision ended their efforts to stop the case. During the last few years, Binance has been dealing with multiple legal problems, especially inside the United States. The Securities and Exchange Commission has accused Binance of offering unregistered securities, and the exchange is also trying to get that lawsuit dismissed. And to make matters worse, FTX, another major crypto company, filed a $1.8 billion lawsuit against Binance in November as well. However, Binance has made significant progress in between its legal troubles. In late 2023, the exchange has went underwater for major changes and the DOJ situation. But Binance isn't the only exchange facing US regulators' wrath right now. Its rivals Coinbase is also fighting the SEC, whether it's such as certain tokens or securities or so on. However, Coinbase is getting small victories against the SEC. Binance is getting zero victories. And Binance is right now being investigated once again by the US, and so is CZ. CZ was just released from prison, you could pretty much say. And the investigation has reopened on CZ, and the investigation on essentially Binance has also reopened. But there is a good side to this story, which is Trump's coming into power. And the moment Trump steps in, I don't think this whole, Coinbase versus SEC or Binance versus SEC or CFTC is going to continue anymore, or Ripple versus SEC, because, essentially the SEC chairman, CFTC chairman, FDIC chairman, they're all getting replaced, and they're all leaving 19th of January or essentially 20th of January. In that words, honestly, because the whole argument is that Binance is selling securities, Coinbase is selling securities, and they're not. So that entire argument is going to be tossed out, which means that these cases will either get dismissed or settled. Now, moving on from the Binance case to US and UK. The Bank of England is going to be working with the New York Department of Financial Services for blockchain. The UK and the US are coming together for a blockchain development, you could say pretty much, and a research study. But before we go through that, let's go to the comment section first. As I previously said, this is a live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'd be more than happy to answer the questions you may have. So, let's see where we're at. Bless you, Stormy. Thank you so much for that sneeze that I had. Bless you. Thank you so much, Ray, as well. AI will destroy the human race in the end. Donnie, I'm in the same boat. I would say that. Yep. Every action takes a reaction. Every action takes a reaction. Trump cannot expect other countries will find an alternative for their economy. Is about surviving. It is. It's about surviving. True. I think there is not an extradition in El Salvador. Sounds like the trying to buy Canada and with the move by BlackRock. Miles, I got in late. I have 6,000 XRP, 30,000 XDC, 6,000 XLM. You think I will be able to quit my 9-to-5 job this year with your 6,000 XRP, 30,000 XDC, and 6,000 XLM? Look, under the right rules and regulations, if we have the correct regulations in place, if with correct regulations in place, projects like XRP, XLM, and XDC will thrive a lot under essential regulations. So will H1, a few other ones as well. But they'll do incredibly well on the regulations in due time. So I would say the sky's the limit for essentially XRP, XDC, and XLM. Under the correct rules and regulations, the money will enter the table. The money will enter these projects from institutions or Wall Street and Silicon Valley and so on. And the rest of the world following America's footsteps, because America is the biggest market space in the world, which is if America goes towards these types of projects, then the rest of the world will go towards these types of projects as well. So yes, there will be a time where you can, and it could be this year. You never know. US very much want all the money from CZ, pretty much. Good night, Miles, and good night, CMF. Fingers crossed we will only have 1 week to go, so hold on tight, guys. Good night. Frankie, brother, good night, brother. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual. Now, New York and the UK coming together. The New York Department of Financial Services, Arjana Harris, essentially announced an exchange program that will allow the regulator to learn more about foreign essentially agencies handling issues with emerging payments and digital assets. Harris said that the TRA would begin with an exchange of senior staff experience with essentially digital assets between the NYDFS and the Bank of England. According to the NYDFS, the program was essentially critical for regulatory harmonization. Exchanges with the TRA program, beginning with the Bank of England in February, will last a minimum of 6 months, according to Harris. Any essential participants would be expected to return to New York with additional knowledge of regulating essentially financial services, including digital assets. The NYDFS is responsible for overseeing crypto regulations in New York State, home to several companies taking advantage of the areas and business and regulatory environments. The financial regulator was behind the implementation of BitLicense scheme in 2015, approving projects such as Ripple or our USD stablecoin in December as well. This is the same department, by the way, the NYDFS, the New York Department of Financial Services, is the same department that gave a green light to RLUSD and Ripple. Is the same essentially department that wants to now have a sit down with essentially the Bank of England. In the UK, entities like the Bank of England have their own challenges approaching digital asset regulations. The central bank regulatory arm and the regulation authority is expected to monitor firms' exposure to cryptocurrencies and propose rules related to digital assets in the UK. Harris has held the New York regulator since 2022, essentially previously worked at the White House under President Barack Obama. In October 2024, she spoke at the Ripple Swell event, advising U.S. crypto firms to communicate with regulators before launching services. It's unclear what the results could be from the exchange program for either the U.S. or the U.K. The Bank of England has been exploring implementations of a central bank digital currency, while the incoming U.S. presidential administration has suggested opposing the launch of any government essentially backed digital dollars. The person that's been sitting essentially with the Bank of England from the US, she's the same person that spoke at the Ripple Swell event. She's the same person that gave the green light to RLUSD for Ripple. And she's the same person that gave the green light to Ripple. And now she's having a sit down with Bank of England. This is amazing news. Now, on the topic of essentially Ripple, JP Morgan. So, JP Morgan projects $3 billion to $8 billion of inflows for XRP ETF. JP Morgan, a leading global financial institution, has estimated that a spot-based XRP ETF may see inflows of $3 billion and $8 billion. The financial giant based this approximation essentially on the performance of Bitcoin and Ethereum's ETFs that started in the market last year. Spot ETFs have gained much popularity inside the crypto markets and represent about 8% of Bitcoin's total market capitalization, which is now $1.81 trillion. Nonetheless, Ethereum ETFs have essentially lower penetrations at 3%, but the trend is likely to experience an increase in the future of inflows. According to JP Morgan, an XRP ETF is expected to have similar market impacts as a Bitcoin ETF did. According to JP Morgan, XRP ETF could be on the same lines of a Bitcoin ETF in terms of inflows coming in. And he also wanted to say that the success are also expected for Solana-based ETFs. This will also stress the growing interest in diversified cryptocurrencies ETFs among institutional and retail investors. Increasing adoption and the use of essentially XRP in payment solutions adds more weight to the crypto stability for an ETF. Currently, there are already some applications for an XRP spot ETF being filed by some industries and participants, including Bitwise and WisdomTree. The competition has been further intensified, especially after the emergence of a positive result in Bitcoin essentially ETFs. As previously reported, Ripple's president, also Monica Long, stated an XRP ETF may be launched right behind the Bitcoin and Ethereum products. It is true. Monica Long, CEO of Ripple, did say on the news essentially, that a XRP ETF is right behind a Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF. Her remarks are in line with the market sentiments that the prospects of an XRP spot ETF being approved has risen considerably a lot more. Nate Garcia, a well-known expert inside the ETF market space, also noted an XRP essentially spot ETF could be approved within this year. This would be a great boost to Ripple and would also provide a lot of credence essentially to XRP's token as a digital currencies at the market space. Ripple's executives have also been making headlines. Ripple's CEO Brad and their essentially chief legal officer and the US President-elect Donald Trump held a meeting and set speculations on possible friendly policies towards XRP. Even without any details about the meeting, the crypto community has considered this a positive sign. The further expansion of Ripple's ecosystem has also added more wind to XRP's essentially sales. And the RLUSD, a stablecoin issued on the XRP ledger, is used to enhance the options of a settlement on the XRP ledger. The adoption of an XRP ledger is expected to grow due to RLUSD's cross-border transaction efficiency. So, JP Morgan apparently is saying, on the words of that, an XRP ETF is pretty much next. An XRP ETF is going to bring as much as inflow as essentially Bitcoin ETFs did, which is incredible. This is massively positive for essentially XRP on these words that JP Morgan has stated. In my point of view, XRP ETF will bring a lot more money to the table as time processes. But this is all, again, amazing to see. Honestly, there's a lot of positive things happening essentially for Ripple. One, that sit down they had with Trump and they took a picture, Stewart and essentially Brad and Trump in that picture. Two, the amount of licensings they have, the amount of partnerships they have. Three, also the amount of essentially new contracts they signed over the last 6 weeks than they did in the last 6 months in the US. Yeah. XRP missed out every year, pretty much. XRP missed out every year inside the crypto space. This, in my point of view, is XRP's year. I've been saying this for a while, regarding financial projects and XRP. What's going to be happening in 2025? I, said it to a T of what's going to be happening in 2025. And then I got repeated by Grayscale. Not saying Grayscale watches my show in any sort of a way, but as in I said what they were going to say, but I said before them on this live. And by the way, all my lives are, straight away the live is done. It posts. I only post unedited lives. I might stop putting them into shorts, but I only post on unedited lives, so it's automatic post. So I don't edit my lives to say I never said that, or I said this, or I said that. It's all unedited. No edits whatsoever. So I will say this: XRP missed out every year. Every year it missed out. But this is XRP's year. This is the year XRP case fully goes away. The Ripple versus SEC case will fully go away. This is the year XRP will finally get the recognition it needs in the institutional space. This is the year that XRP ETFs do well. This is the year that XRP, in terms of regulations, does well. This is the year that the Ripple case goes away. This is the year for XRP. It missed out inside the crypto space every year. XRP missed on everything every year, but it still held this position firm in the top 10. It was battling the SEC, went through hell and back, and still stood strong in the top 10. During bear markets, bull markets, manipulation season, everything being sued, it still held this position in the top 10. That's impressive as hell. And because I missed out on every year, this year, it's XRP's year, in my point of view. It's the financial year. It's the financial year, basically. And on that topic, all good things must come to an end, which they did now. This was the endings of tonight's live as well. If you're watching this for the first time ever, this was the Crypto Mouse family. This was the CMF Live, which stands for Crypto Mouse Family. I'm Mouse. I go by the persona of Crypto Mouse. I'm your host Monday to Friday for this live, 9 to essentially 11:25 p.m. onwards, UK time. Every night you can tune into this live, where I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, vital information for you to know about regarding the world, completely transforming into a digital space. If you watched it for the first time ever and you enjoyed it, tune in tomorrow, same timing as usual. This was episode, by the way, 240 of the CMF Live. If you already haven't, please like, retweet, and comment outside the live, and subscribe and follow if you already haven't. And like this video if you watch us on YouTube as well. If you watch on X, like, retweet, comment, share. And I'll be seeing everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Miles, let's see what we're in the comment section. Good night, Miles, and good night, CMF. Fingers crossed. For everybody, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Miles, will you have a live when Trump is taking a seat on January 20th? Yes, I will, definitely. So do you think, it's not a bad idea, so do you think all our cryptos will be held in a bank in the future? No. Cold storage wallets. How much manipulation going on, and what you think about manipulated? Everything is manipulated. Your entire life is manipulated since the day you're born. Good night, Miles, and all CMF. Thank you for the great live and the great news. JPC tomorrow, but sometimes as usual. Good night, Miles and CMF. Thanks for the great info. See you tomorrow. Free forever. See you tomorrow, sometimes as usual. Good night, Miles and CMF. Mike, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well, brother. Enjoy your vacation, Mike, on the Caribbeans. Good night, brother Miles and family. See you tomorrow. Comment to see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well. Brad is putting oil on the wheel. This is how the world is going. Yep, I agree. Facts. Night, Miles and CMF. Pablo, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well. Great live. Thanks, Miles. Take care. All Ray, see you, brother. Same time as usual tomorrow. Good night, Miles and CMF. See you tomorrow. Orphan, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well. Good night, Miles. Great live as always. See you same time tomorrow. Autistic, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well. Thanks, Miles, and good night to you and CMF. Stormy, let's go. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Good night, brother. Donny, good night, brother. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Great live, brilliant live as usual, Miles. We appreciate everything you do for us. Let's go. Joe, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well. Night, all night. Susie, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual. You make our lives better by sharing effortless Miles. So grateful. Good night, all. Lena, thank you so much for the kind words. And see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well. Literally everything in life is manipulated, though. Facts. I will see everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. If you already haven't, like, comment, share, retweet. This is how we grow this family, CMF. If you already haven't, CMF members, go and like, retweet, share, and put a comment outside the live, inside the comment section of the post on X. I'll be seeing everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. CMF, see everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Thanks, Miles. Good night, everyone. Go Spinner, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. And Thomas, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. See everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Have a great night or a great day, depending on where you are around the world.